Good morning, everybody. It's Miss Abigail here. We're going to be talking some more about prayer today. And I actually have with us a visitor who is very important for today. So we are going to talk today about how to pray for missions. And missions is whenever you tell someone else about Jesus. And specifically, we're thinking about telling people about Jesus who aren't right here in our home, who aren't in town. So not us going to tell other people about Jesus, but people who it's their job. Like my job is to work here at the church, and maybe your parents, they may work at a bank or work as a teacher. Well, some people, their job is something called a missionary, and their job is to teach other people about Jesus. And with us today is a very famous missionary, and I will let her introduce herself.
Well, hi guys. Thank you, Miss Abigail. I am Lottie Moon, and I was a missionary to China a long time ago.
Way back before this century started. She was a missionary to China in the 1800s, so around when the Civil War was going on, actually.
Yeah, it was a long time ago, and I guess I can just tell you guys a little bit
please
about
do.
myself. So I was a bit of a wild child growing up. I had a lot of spunk, and I had a hard time sitting still for a long time. Maybe you guys understand what that's like. But as I got a little older and became a teenager, I felt a call to missions. So I ended up going to China when I reached my 20s, and my main ministry was writing a lot of letters from China back stateside to the people who were supporting me. So I would write just dozens of letters a week.
Really hundreds a year.
Yeah, I mean, it was so many letters.
And remember back then, guys, when it came, they didn't have cell phones to text or to call. These letters were the only way they had to communicate. And these letters, how long would it take for one to get to China to America?
Months.
And so she would be writing about something in order to, that was the only way people in America had any idea what was going on over there with the ministry in China.
Exactly. So I kept writing letters to keep people updated on what was going on over there. And I liked to keep my ministry on the ground as informal as possible. Very relaxed, people coming to visit me, cooking with me, teaching, just as relaxed as possible. And that was mainly my big approach to missions as a whole. Relaxed, and yet also very straightforward. I'm kind of remembered as a pretty blunt person.
Yes, and she was actually very important during that time because not a lot of women were being able to speak into the church. Not a lot of women were doing that kind of work. And so you got to have this amazing chance to show how God can use a woman to teach other people about God. And didn't you find that easier? Because weren't people in China sometimes scared of men?
They were. There was a lot of distrust toward foreigners from Chinese people at the time, and especially toward foreign men. They were very standoffish with them because of everything that was going on in the world at the time. So I found that they were a lot more they were easier to approach when as a woman and as a teacher mindset, and being in my kitchen and keeping it as relaxed as possible.
And so that's kind of a reminder to me that even though you might think it's harder for you to tell people about Jesus, because a lot of people told you that as a woman you weren't going to be able to tell people about Jesus,
that's true.
You really may have a better chance to speak to somebody. So let me ask you a few questions, Miss Lottie. You kind of touched on this about writing so many letters. Why was that important to you?
Well, I wanted to be sure that everyone who was supporting me back home knew exactly what was going on in China. And as Miss Abigail was saying, it was really hard to get information back and forth at the time. So being sure to keep detailed letters about exactly what was going on was extremely important to me, so that people knew exactly how their support was being used, and to keep their prayers as personal as possible.
Praying was a big part of your letters then.
Oh, a huge part.
Why was that important that people in America, thousands and thousands of miles away, who never were going to have a chance to meet these people, prayed for the people in China?
Well, obviously, no ministry can thrive without prayer. It's the most important part, if you ask me. So, to me, I needed these people to be praying for me, for my ministry, for the people I was ministering to. Plus, it humanized the Chinese people to America in a really new way, because it's really easy to look at people who are different from you or that you can't see because they're so far away and just not really think of them as being the same as you. So by praying for those people, it really makes them real to you, and it changes your heart as much as it might change theirs.
Very true, because God made all of these people, whether it be us or the people in China. So what do you think that those prayers did? Because sometimes whenever I'm sitting at home and I'm praying for someone, because I have some friends who are missionaries in Africa, and I'll pray for those people, and I'll pray for the friends that they're dealing with in Uganda, and I feel like nothing's happening. So in your opinion, as someone who is over there feeling those prayers, what do they do?
Well, they make the whole ministry possible. It's impossible to have a ministry without it being funded by prayer. And honestly, I think it helped me, and it helped a lot of people back home realize some prejudices and things that they didn't realize they had in themselves, you know, not realizing that you think of someone who is different from you as being less than you. But praying for someone and making them real to you, it opens your eyes to how prejudiced you might be against them and how their experiences are just as real and important as yours.
So would you say that those prayers opened your heart to love?
Absolutely.
So, and then just praying and asking for God to open up His power onto a ministry, you can't really go change that.
Yeah, no, you can't.
So, how is prayer important for you on the ground there? So you thought it was important for people in America to pray for you. How did you use prayer in your ministry there? How did you use that to teach people about Jesus?
Absolutely. The way I really approached teaching people about Jesus there was in a very relational way. Like we said, there was a lot of mistrust toward foreigners at the time. So having a relationship with them and having that prayer constantly over me opened up a lot of doors. And well, actually, my favorite way to teach people about Jesus was to invite them into my home, invite them into my kitchen, and bake cookies with them.
Really?
Yes, because
baking cookies.
People relax when they're in a kitchen and you're cooking and you're doing things with your hands. They open up, they want to talk, and then you have delicious cookies at the end, and everyone's happy.
I love that. So now that you said that, I remember I've heard of your famous cookies.
Yeah.
Is there any chance you could show us how to make those?
Well, I think I can make it happen. I did actually bring a few things with me here today. Now, these aren't the exact things that we had in China.
Okay.
But it'll be close enough.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. So what are these cookies called?
They are called Lottie Moon tea cakes.
Tea cakes. Okay.
So I guess they're not really cookies, but I think that would be a more familiar word for a lot of the people we're talking to today.
So tea cakes. All right. So how do we get started on this?
Well,
and before y'all worry about it, if you have your parents text at WBC Kidmin to 81010, then I'll be able to send you guys this recipe. And so y'all can follow along and see how we do it, and have your parents text to this number with the Remind app, and I will send this recipe out to you guys on Sunday, okay?
All right. So it's very simple ingredients. Okay. You just need some whipped cream, or whipping cream, I guess. 1 egg, sugar, and flour.
Oh,
and butter.
Oh, butter.
There
That's easy. Most of this stuff is in our cabinets.
Exactly. So it's very easy and much easier to get all of this here than it was in China. I'll tell you that. So basically you start out, you go ahead and preheat the oven, which again, much easier here.
We have that preheated in the other room.
Exactly. And then you put the butter. If you would do that, Miss Abigail.
How much? The
whole half a stick.
Okay, whole half a stick.
Yep. So go ahead and put the butter and the sugar together, and the sugar is 1 heaping cup. Do you have a cup?
Which I think you have made this so many times, you probably don't even need a measuring. You can.
Oh, I could just do it with my hands.
You eyeball it.
So
1 heaping cup. There you go.
There we go. That should be about right. You measure with your heart.
Measure with your heart, and just until it tells you to stop pouring in the sugar.
Exactly. Then you beat in 1 egg.
So beating is the whisk. This is one of my favorite parts. This is the part you should do instead of your parents. Tell them you want to beat the egg in. So you crack it. You might want to let mom or dad crack the egg, because
that's the hard part.
It's messy. There we go. And then you get the whisk and you beat it in. Make sure you hold the bowl really tight on the side while you do it. that how it's supposed to look?
Yes, perfect.
There you go. Oh, wow, look at that, guys. It got all mixed up with the sugar and the butter. And you gotta beat it off the whisk. Hey, all right. You're going to tell me what to do after this, because
okay.
I may have made a bit of a mess.
That's the fun part of cooking, making a mess, right?
Yes. Cleaning it up afterwards isn't the fun part. Oh,
no. So the next would be the flour.
Okay, and how much of it?
That would be, I had to write it down because this time travel has made me a little all over the place. Okay, 2 cups.
2 cups. Okay.
So that would be about this whole bag.
Yes. Do we beat it in as well?
Yes, go ahead and mix it all together.
You might want to use a wooden spoon instead of this whisk, because it's getting pretty sticky.
Well, luckily,
you probably used a wooden spoon as well.
I did. And luckily, we're going to bring in some cream now. About half a cup. There we go.
I think I better switch to a spoon. I should have let you get together the equipment, Miss Lottie.
But it's so much fun watching you do it. All right. And once Miss Abigail gets that all mixed together, you just spread it out on a pan and you can cut them into whatever shape your heart desires.
And normally you would spread butter out on this pan or spray it with grease, right?
Right, so it doesn't stick. Exactly.
But we had pre-greased our pan, but I wanted to make sure make sure you do add some good grease onto this so it will not stick.
Yes.
And then you just
pour it right on.
Okay, ours is going to be more like a cake than a cookie. But you can spoon this out into actual like lumps so that it's a cookie. Ours, we'll just spread it out on here like a cake, and then we can cut it into shapes afterwards.
Absolutely. And then you just put it in the oven to bake for about 5 minutes. They do not take very long.
They can burn really quickly too.
They do. They do burn very quickly.
But that means that this is a really fast and easy thing to do. So that means I can see how easy it would be. People would be able to just talk while you did this. They wouldn't feel like they had to wait around all day.
Mm-hmm.
And then, wouldn't you try and finish every meeting with prayer?
Absolutely. That's the best way to start or finish any meeting, I always say.
Okay, guys, well, Miss Lottie went to go and put the cookies into the oven to make sure they're all baked up and ready. I hope that you guys took this and see, number one, how important it is to pray for missionaries and to pray for people in other places to hear about Jesus. And I also hope that you saw some ways where you can just make it easy and fun to tell people about Jesus. That you can give them love, bake cookies with them, pray with them, and show them how much God loves them. So I'm going to pray for you guys now. Dear God, thank you so much for who you are and for everything that you have done for us. Thank you that you send people to other nations to tell them about Jesus. Help us remember where we are, to pray for those people, and also to tell people about Jesus where we are today and in everything that we do. You are a wonderful God, and we love you so much. Amen. I love you guys, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.